The white flame ate everything it touched, the pillows, the rugs, the posts that held the tent in place. Soon it would all come crashing in, but not before she finished what she was here to do. She faced Tosin, who cowered where he had leapt back into his bath, as if the water would save him. She stalked toward him through the flame. It licked at her skin, harmless. Tosin shrank in on himself as she drew near, the whole of him shaking enough to send ripples racing through the dirtied water. What is this? His voice cracked in terror. He glanced about for a possible escape, his straggly black hair whipping about. But there was nowhere to go. All was flame and ember and ash. What are you? This is Raka, Akani said. The disbelief on his face pleased her. She came to me in the dead of the night, me, of all, to be chosen, a non-believer. I was tired, starving, and weeping where your soldiers had tied me to the cold to sleep, certain I was going to die. Akani had never been more certain of anything in her life. The cold was crushing, near starving, her body was failing. She had failed. There was nothing left. I wanted to die. She had welcomed death, prayed for it. And as she lay there, the life slowly seeping from her body, she heard it. My child, a voice whispered in the darkness. My daughter, my love, hear me. Uh, Amma, Akani whispered, certain she was near the gates to the garden and her mother had come to take her the rest of the way. I am all and nothing. I began before and I will end after. The words echoed around Akani, sweet and low. The voice's edge danced against her mind like a blade. I have heard your prayers and I have come for you, wayward child. The darkness parted and light filled the void, then coalesced into a single orb, bright and shining. The moon, Akani realized. Just as the lights of the stars sparked to life around it, the sky stretched over her, clear and bright. This will not be your last night. If you but promise me. Promise? Akani continued to shiver. Promise me you will end them, the Hessian, blasphemers, who do foul deeds in my name, who plot against my people. Promise me, lost one, and I will give you what you want most. A spear erupted from the guard before her. It jutted into the air on its spike. Tosin's head, bloated and discolored in death, gazed on her. Promise me, the voice repeated. Harden your heart, for it will be tested. Whatever it takes, do this thing. Be strong like stone, and I will make you the mountain. Akani saw the face of her mother in those stars above Tosin's rotted head, and the face of her father and brother. Then all began to fade into the deep's black. Promise me, the voice whispered, flaking away. I promise, Akani gasped. A feeling like fire filled her arms and gathered in her palms. Light sprang forth from her fingers. It engulfed everything around her, white hot. She wanted to scream, but she could not, nor could she move, so she lay there, as the light brightened, until it consumed her. When I awoke, Akani said, as she stared into Tosin's terrified face, I realized what had happened, that I should be dead, but she spared me for this moment. The flame began to creep toward Tosin, where Akani's will had held it back. He whirled and splashed, scrambling to get away, but the fire took him. His screams ended in cracked yowls as his tongue burned. Flesh peeled from muscle. What water remained in the tub bubbled and thickened red. Akani turned, indifferent as the remains of the tent continued to falter around her, burning to nothing. She approached another spot where the fire had held back at her bidding. Clutching his stomach with red-licked fingers, sweat prickling his ashen-brown face, Seth gazed up at her in a mix of wonder and confusion. Coughs racked his body, and blood dappled his lips. How? I am the mountain. The last of the tent's trappings fell away. Tosin's camp flickered into view, with fires all around the hill still lit, almost mirroring the stars above. Soldiers who had come looking to try to help surrounded her, those same brown faces that watched with scorn as she was marched up here, now twisted in shock and fear. The boy guard was not among them. She wondered if he'd run. Several of them did now, racing down into the camp. They would not get far.